For the last 3 to 4 months, you've heard me say May 10th, circle it on your calendar. Guys, it is starting. It is here. Now, I will admit some of the data is not going to be as good as I wanted, but it's still happening. Let's go over it together, guys. Here's the deal, team. We got weekly rates. According to Investorpedia, shows 6.93. Mortgage News Daily, looked them up this morning. It was like 6.7-ish, give or take. So call it high sixes in general for that 30-year fix. But here's the good news, coming down soon, I think. Here's why. Going through this, team, we got rates. You can kind of see they've been getting better, getting worse, getting better, getting worse. Today is not a bad day, but again, you can see all the resistance levels we've been showing you before. Look at that blue one, the very top one that slants down, that light blue. That's a 200-day moving average. That's a formidable opponent. So we're going to need some big news here in the coming weeks to go over it. I think it's just going to be a slowly but surely beat down that we're going to finally get above that, because then you got the purple line, that's the 100-day moving average. So we got a lot of resistance overhead right now. So I don't know that we're going to make any major moves in the next couple days, weeks, but I do think long term we're going to be fine. Here's why. May 10th. I was telling you guys, May 10th shows the April CPI numbers, Consumer Price Index. That's the Fed's favorite gauge of inflation. When inflation goes up, mortgage rates go up. When inflation comes down, mortgage rates come down. So guys, at the end of the day, the headline came in at 0.37. That's that first number. And then what core is when you strip out food and energy, because the Fed can't grow more crops and the Fed can't control oil and all that stuff and the weather. So at the end of the day, the core is what's typically more important. But here's the deal. That little next box, shelters 43% of that core. And that's a big deal. And that's what's coming down. I'll show you that in a second. And that's why we think over the coming months, you will see a meaningful decline in inflation. But the big one that kind of screwed us up for our what we thought May 10th would show a little bit better headline was the used cars. It was up 4.4% month over month. So think about that. So if you look at that 4.4, I'll show you in the next chart. That's like as if it kept that pace, that means used cars a year from now will be 50% more expensive than they are today. That's not sustainable. So let's talk about that shelter piece. That's 43% of that number. So look at what happened here, guys. We peaked in February, March and April. Now look how low we are compared to what we were. So as time goes by and those numbers continue to come in lower than they once were, it's going to replace the higher numbers. So if you look at May, which is going to come in June's report. So last May, you got 0.62. So 0.62 is going to be replaced with 0.42 or lower, perhaps. We think same or lower. So you're going to have a meaningful decline just in the shelter cost. And that is going to be a huge benefit. You can see that May, June, July, August, September, October, everything's 0.6 and higher for the most part. So we're going to see some meaningful decline in the housing cost that goes into there. So again, as I just said, the used cars, I mean, if it kept this pace, and it won't, cars would increase 50% in cost, or how much it costs for a used car in 1 year. That's just not going to happen. So again, when used cars come back to earth, that's going to help us even more. The shelter costs that we just talked about with even more, it's going to happen. So at the end of the day, here's the big reason, right? The CPI readings, if you guys look, April, May, June, last year, that's May 2022, right? So April is going to get reported in May, as we just had. But look at May, June, August, and September. With the exception of July, we got some big numbers at 0.6. We just threw up a 0.4, right? So as the 0.4s, 0.3s start coming around and keep coming around, we're replacing really big numbers at the 0.6. So inflation will be coming down in the coming months. I do expect rates to continue with it, mortgage rates, that is. And speaking of just not rates in general, the Fed, which is bizarre, supposedly now the markets are pricing in 100% that there'll be a rate cut in September of this year. Again, we don't want that. I know that seems like good news, but a cut by the Fed can be inflationary. So if inflation's not totally crushed, we don't want that. We want to make sure inflation's truly going down and staying down. If they cut too soon, in my opinion, that could be a lot of risk of inflation coming back. So we don't want that, but that's what they priced in. So it was, I forget, it was like 70-something%. Now it's like 100% for September. They're going to start doing it. So this is the projections. You can see that April 2023 over here on the left side, we're April, May, we peaked. They think we peaked, and they think by basically, as soon as August, September, rates are going to be coming down from the Fed. So we'll see. I hope not. We'll see. House prices. So this is the story of how you can lie with statistics. I'm about to show you. This is a negative news story for housing, right? This is the Wall Street Journal. U.S. home prices fell during first quarter. So if you just read some of the headlines here, nearly a third of all metro areas posted a decline in more than a decade. Big, boom towns like Austin, they're down more than 10%. San Francisco down 14%. This is all terrible. And the last, little snippets on the side, I'm going to show you on the next screen. But down below, these people are like, oh, we bought it such a deal, it's 4% lower. Look, 4% is not a housing bubble. I get it. People in Austin, Idaho, and San Francisco, if you guys lost 10%, 14% in your home value, that stinks. Nobody's saying that it doesn't. But you also saw the greatest appreciation more than any other cities over the pandemic. So I get it. But look, the same article, right? I'm going to change the page. Same article, same information from that article. I just changed the heading. U.S. homes up during first quarter. Why can you say that? Because if 1/3 of them went down, all the biggest markets, that means 2/3 of the United States is the same or better. And the hardest hit markets were the Californias and the Mountain West, as I just mentioned. But the rest of the world, and they make this sound like a bad thing, the rest of the world, where'd it go? It's like 7%. There you go. Median prices rose by more than 10%. I mean, some places saw a 10% appreciation this last year. And that's, in 7% of the markets. And that's down. Whatever, but they saw appreciation. Like, this is a good thing. So 18% of the metro areas reported double-digit percentage growth. So home prices are still really good. And why? And it says down below, and I highlighted it for you. Prices have declined a little bit. The very last paragraph. Good old Lawrence Yun from National Association of Realtors economist basically says, yeah, inventory short. Like, no duh, we've been saying that this whole time. And that this short-lived decline is going to be that short-lived. As soon as rates come down, people are going to be buying. So people say that they're not selling, quietly quitting. That whole thing from COVID where they're saying that homeowners are quietly not selling just because they got a 3.3 interest rate. So that's part of why they suspect there may be low inventory. I think some of it too is obviously, like we've been saying, more people are just buy at the age of buying homes these days. Let's see. I'm not going to go into that. You guys can certainly read it. Here's something I thought was interesting. Let's go North Dallas. Northeast Dallas had more average views on Zillow than any other neighborhood in the United States. That is wild to me. Northeast Dallas. And so they categorize that as basically like Deep Ellum up to Garland and even like some parts of Richardson in there. So average price was $438, but the 5 most popular Dallas neighborhoods: East Dallas #1, Preston Hollow, Far North, North Dallas, M Streets. There you go, guys. The least popular, sorry if you're watching this and you live in any of those places, but Eagle Ford, wherever you are, sorry, you're not popular. Here's Jackie O's childhood Hampton's home. If you got cool 55 million, you too can own this home. List reports, guys. If you're in the real estate industry and you're watching this, go to listreports.com if you want. You probably know it. If you don't, you get the note. It's free to you. Hop in there and you guys can tag whenever you have a new listing. It populates with all kinds of cool, fun stuff about your neighborhood, the community, and everything else that you can use for your sellers, for your open house, potential buyers. So if you guys hop in there, try it out. If you have questions, just reach out to us. And as always, something fun at the end. I saw this and I just wanted to include it. 25 things millennials and Gen Xers did grow up with. What's funny is, like, I got a couple folks in my office that they didn't live through these eras. So remember getting fined to rewind, right? You had to pay the fee for that. But TV Guide, my God, of course I watched that. If you guys want to look at this, I'm sure it's an article, full list here. You can click on it. It's at BuzzFeed.com apparently. Anyway, share, subscribe, like, forward, all the usual stuff, guys. We appreciate you as always. I know these videos are lengthy. Some of you say, man, they're too long. Well, it's good information. If you don't watch it all, then you don't get to see this. But thank you for watching. If you're watching this now, you're one of my favorites. Way to go, team. Again, visit us on social, follow us, all that fun stuff, and have a great week.